Jaguar Land Rover thriving under Tata, so far. By late 2013, Wolfgang Ziebart had a sensible plan for supplying the electric motors that would drive the I-Pace, a sleek battery-powered crossover Jaguar was developing to challenge Tesla's Model X. It was a no-brainer to outsource the motors, thought Ziebart, then Jaguar's engineering director. What else was there to do? Electric motors were outside the design and manufacturing expertise of almost every automaker in the world. But one team member on the project, a boyish electrical engineer named Alex Michaelides, had a nervy idea. He asked to meet with Ziebart, an eminent German engineer who had been BMW's global product development czar. Michaelides told Ziebart he wanted a chance to design the crossover's twin motors himself. Ziebart listened to Michaelides' proposal for a compact, lightweight motor that would deliver sizzling performance. The drive shafts running through the motor were different from anything available from suppliers. Beyond intrigued, Ziebart gave Michaelides on-the-spot approval to start working on his motor. Within a year, the first prototypes were spinning on a dynamometer, and Jaguar Land Rover was on its way to being one of the few automakers to design its own patented electric motors. The I-Pace, with a 250-mile range, is slated to arrive at dealerships this summer. The decision was basically made already to buy the motors from the outside. Then this guy showed up in my office, Ziebart said. So, now we have this motor. It's not the cheapest, but it's the best in the field. It was the kind of gut-level decision that likely wouldn't have happened under any of Jaguar or Land Rover's previous corporate parents. British Leyland Rover Group, British Aerospace, BMW and Ford, which sold the brands to Tata 10 years ago this week. Life under Tata would prove to be very different. The 2008 deal has been a win for Tata, for JLR and even for Ford. Under Tata's ownership, JLR has increased global sales 146%, from 252,036 vehicles in 2008 to 621,109 last year. Posted 8 consecutive years of profits totaling £11.4 billion, £15.9 billion. Rebuilt, integrated and expanded the Jaguar and Land Rover lineups using flexible, shared platforms and new powertrains and proprietary technologies. Become the United Kingdom's largest automaker, employing more than 19,000 workers at 4 plants and 2 technical centers. The Range Rover line is now Britain's largest luxury export, accounting for 85% of all luxury vehicles built in the UK in 2016. Purchased billions of dollars of engines and body stampings from Ford. This has helped keep Ford's European factories running closer to capacity and gave Ford an avenue to recoup some of the billions it invested in both brands over the years. Designed its own gasoline and diesel engines in-house and opened a plant to make them in Wolverhampton, England. Begun manufacturing vehicles and engines overseas, with plants in Brazil, China and Slovakia. Though JLR's first 10 years under Tata were successful beyond most people's expectations, at least one analyst and some former JLR executives worry about the next 10. It's not making enough money given the current fabulous model mix, Max Warburton, senior research analyst at Bernstein Research, told Automotive News. Range Rover is one of the most profitable vehicle franchises in the world and prints money. So, clearly, there's an issue with most of the rest of the range and structural costs. If and when Range Rover slides, they've got a problem. A rough start. Few thought the Ford-Tata deal for JLR was a good idea. The sale price was many billions less than Ford had invested. Tata, best known for a 1,500 microcar called the Nano, had no experience running a global luxury automaker. Worse, Tata had no technology that could be leveraged to offset JLR's product development costs. And there were fears in Britain that the country's battered auto industry fresh off the 2005 collapse of MG Rover would take another hit if Tata moved Jaguar and Land Rover production to India. JLR's first 18 months under Tata were difficult. Ford had a nearly complete business plan in place for Jaguar and Land Rover when the brands were sold. Several key new products, such as the Jaguar XJ, were funded and near launch. But the recession had not only choked off car sales, but also JLR's access to credit. Under Tata, JLR was for the first time responsible for its own money, and the new company needed plenty of it. JLR's prospects looked bleak when it couldn't negotiate a suitable deal for access to credit. JLR posted a loss of about $540 million in its 2008 to 2009 fiscal year, forcing Tata to inject $1.2 billion more into JLR to keep the company on course to fulfilling Chairman Ratan Tata's promise to continue implementing the business plan Ford had developed. It was really a tough time, the most difficult recession in human memory, JLR CEO Ralph Speth told Automotive News in March. When we started to develop our product strategy, Ratan Tata said, "Keep on this path," and he gave us the resources to do it. Ford, which bought publicly held Jaguar in 1989 and Land Rover from BMW in 2000, had started integrating the two brands well before the Tata sale. But that messy job was not yet finished in early June 2008. Al Kammerer, JLR's product development chief under Ford, recalls the situation with suppliers, legacy issues dating to Rover Group and its tie-up with Honda, and a dearth of shared parts between Jaguar's luxury cars and Land Rover's off-road vehicles made JLR's purchasing inefficient. The sourcing for the Land Rover Freelander was originally done under Honda, Kammerer said. The big Range Rover was done under BMW. The Defender has been around forever. The Discovery got Ford's supply base. Jaguar was using Ford suppliers. There was a major initiative across all car lines to get to a significantly common supply base. Out of Ford's shadow, under the terms of the sale, Ford continued to supply engines and body stampings to JLR. But it came time for the company to develop its own product plan based on its own architectures without a corporate benefactor's parts bin to save money and product development time. That Tata had no technology suitable for Jaguar or Land Rover was fine with Bob Joyce, who headed product development from 2008 through 2016. Joyce, who spent 5 years at BMW before joining JLR, had plenty of faith in the small core of engineers who remained with Jaguar and Land Rover after the sale to Tata. Joyce set up JLR's engineering system to mimic that of BMW, which separates its functions based on areas of competency. He knew that, to be competitive with German luxury brands, JLR would have to create its own vehicles, not adapt platforms or use major parts created for other brands. Enter the Range Rover Evoque, which ushered in a new era for Land Rover styling under design boss Jerry McGovern, and Jaguar F-Type, Jaguar's first true sports car since the XKE of the early 1970s. Ian Callum, Jaguar's head of design, considers the F-Type to be the soul of the brand and says it informs every vehicle in the Jaguar lineup, including the crossovers. "I don't think Ford would have spent the money to do the F-Type and the subsequent subs," Kammerer said. And that's basically what the issue was. Ford only had so much capital investment and too many mouths to feed. Tata was a believer, and they put the money in to generate the products to fill up the cycle plan. In late 2009, business took an upward turn. The company reported a $72 million pre-tax profit for the fiscal year ending in March 2010. Since then, there has not been a year when operating profits have been less than about $1.4 billion. Changes in sales and marketing have been crucial to the JLR success story. Under Tata, JLR listens more closely to its retailers, says Andy Vine, chairman of the Jaguar Land Rover retailer cabinet. "If you look back to 2008, we were having a hard time getting all-wheel drive on the XJ and other Jag models," said Vine, dealer principal at Jaguar Louisville and Land Rover Louisville in Kentucky. "Now, think where we are today. Anything we need, JLR is on the forefront getting those products to us." Some dealers initially booked at JLR's new facilities requirement that houses both brands in one facility with separate showrooms, but as sales and profits have increased, most dealers have bought in. In a 2015 interview with Keith Crane, Automotive News editor-in-chief, Ratan Tata said he meets regularly with Wolfgang Ziebart, former head of Ford's premier automotive group, home of Jaguar and Land Rover under Ford. The pair, sometimes in visits to JLR, have discussed the company's vehicles. Ziebart, who earlier in his career helped propel BMW to top-tier status, is someone Tata trusts on product development. He's got a very keen eye. He's very outspoken in terms of what he believes we should do, Tata told Crane. JLR's long and winding road. 1921 William Lyon and William Walmsley, friends who live on the same street in Blackpool, England, opened Swallow Sidecar Company to build motorcycle sidecars and later bodies for Austin cars. Photo Richard Truett. 1935 Company introduces the SS Jaguar nameplate, later changing its name to Jaguar Cars Limited. 1948 Rover Company Limited, inspired by World War II Willis Jeeps, introduces the rugged, utilitarian Land Rover Series I at the Amsterdam Auto Show to supplement car sales. 1966 William Lyon sells Jaguar to British Motor Corporation, manufacturer of Austin, Morris, MG and other smaller brands. 1968 Jaguar and Land Rover become part of the same company with the merger of British Motor Holdings and Leland Motors, which bought Rover in 1967. The new company, British Leland is the world's fourth largest automaker. 1978 Land Rover steadily rising sales and profits prompt British Leland to separate it from the Rover car-making business and make the brand its own company. 1984 British Leland spins Jaguar off in a stock offering. 1988 British Aerospace buys British Leland, since renamed Rover Group, and takes control of Land Rover Limited. 1989 Ford buys Jaguar for $2.5 billion. 1994 BMW buys Rover Group from British Aerospace for $1.35 billion. 2000 BMW breaks up Rover Group, selling Land Rover Limited to Ford for $2.9 billion and Rover Cars, renamed MG Rover, to Phoenix Consortium for £10. Land Rover and Jaguar are once again part of the same company. 2008. Ford CEO Alan Mulally, focusing on the company's survival during the recession, sells Jaguar and Land Rover, part of Ford's premier automotive group of luxury brands, to India's Tata Motors for $2.3 billion. The deal closes June 1. JLR's road ahead. In the first 10 years under Tata, JLR's success was due in part to a cadre of first-rate Ford and BMW-trained managerial talent who instituted the best parts of both companies' product development processes. That was combined with fast decision-making, design that resonated with customers, and a hands-off owner with a lot of faith in JLR's leadership. It remains to be seen if all this can last another decade. For one thing, there will be turnover at the top. JLR's manufacturing chief, Wolfgang Stadler, another former BMW man, announced his retirement this month. Callum, 63, who has led Jaguar design since 1999, has hinted that he won't be around forever. Uncertainty caused by the 2016 UK vote to leave the European Union and collapsing sales of diesel vehicles in Europe led to JLR's first workforce reduction, in April, when 1,000 contract workers were notified they would be released this summer. On the product front, the hugely profitable Range Rover now has to contend with ultra-luxurious SUVs from Bentley and now Rolls-Royce. Spieth, speaking to Automotive News in March on the sidelines of the New York Auto Show, said the company is committed to growing annual sales to 1 million vehicles, but there is no deadline. Making money, Spieth said, is more important than chasing volume. We have to make sure we are very profitable. It is not the volume number at the end of the day, it is more the way forward to sustain growth, said Spieth. The upcoming Land Rover Defender will be a key vehicle in the next phase of JLR's growth plan. The rugged off-roader will come in many versions, be sold globally and, like the iconic original, likely have an aluminum body. That makes it expensive to produce. JLR has to find a way to sell it profitably in all markets. The Defender alone won't get JLR to 1 million vehicles, nor will additional versions of existing vehicles or boutique specialty cars from JLR's special vehicle operations. It is unlikely the company will add another, lower-cost brand pulling the Rover badge out of mothballs, for example for a series of premium cars, such as what BMW has with Mini. The fact is, JLR is still subscale, says Warburton, the analyst. It's too big to be niche, but 700,000 units is not really sufficient to support multiple platforms and powertrains, he added. JLR's warranty costs are still too high, and Jaguar isn't yet pulling its weight. This is not a business without flaws and risks, Warburton said. But it's fantastic what's been achieved so far, and the engineering, brands, pricing and fundamental capability of the place are all light years ahead of where they were when Tata bought it. Last year, Tata Motors denied it was considering a public offering for JLR, and it is not known publicly whether any joint ventures, acquisitions or mergers are under consideration. If JLR remains an independent business, which I hope they do under Tata ownership, they have the strength to now get some good, strategic partnerships, Joyce said. They are now a very credible car manufacturer, and they will get to 1 million units a year in some foreseeable future. That is a good enough size to be strong around the world and to fight the challenges of markets and products changing, from diesel to petrol to electric. When you have that scale, you can be quite a successful business. SPET remains focused on steady growth and keeping JLR moving quicker than the competition. We have to find our own way, go our own way, he said. That's our strength that we deliver. If you compare the product substance of our cars to our competitors, we deliver vehicles we want to drive. We just have to run a little faster. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here.